We're going to start out in a cornfield. That's because this boat was found a few years ago 45 feet under a cornfield in Kansas City. It's a Pittsburgh-built steamboat that sank on the Missouri River. It all began here in Pittsburgh at the confluence of the Allegheny, Monongahela, and Ohio rivers. Let's go back in time. Pieces of the Arabia were bent and twisted because the water, the current, washed the upper decks off as the boat settled deeper and deeper and deeper into the mud. Remember, 500 boats sank on the Mississippi and Missouri River between 1850 and 1900. The average life, the life expectancy of a steamboat like the Arabia, 3 to 4 years. You'll find pieces of the prefabricated homes. Think about it. If you were living in a sod house, maybe a log house if you were lucky on the frontier, what a boon it would be if a frame building just like back east was brought out to you, all numbered, ready to assemble. Iron spikes and nails and screws, window glass, all kinds of tools, bed springs and clothing. Everything you'd need to survive on the frontier was aboard the Arabia. In fact, when the Arabia didn't show up, several frontier towns dried up and blew away.
So 2 years before the boat sank, the area just west of Kansas City just opened up for settlers. So there were thousands of settlers that arrived in this part of the country to settle the area. Just imagine an Amazon truck that crashes on the highway and everything you would find in that truck. Well, here is the same thing, that boat sank and everything that settlers needed, be it tools, be it sewing equipment, be it clothing, shoes, and fabric, everything was there in that boat.
Steamboat Arabia hit one of the many snags either floating on the river or hidden below the surface, and the actual snag is on display at the museum.
Luckily, none of the 130 passengers on board died, only a mule that they nicknamed Lawrence of Arabia.
What are they? Are they blueberries? Little blueberries? Or maybe gooseberries? Gooseberries.
Bob Hawley didn't just find history, he made history. Part of a team that slogged through the silt and mud in a farmer's field to unearth the largest collection of pre-Civil War artifacts in the world.
We typically add over 1,000 items every year.
An assortment of priceless pieces that instead of selling off for a fortune, they shared with the world.
He was forever an explorer. He was always an adventurer.
So much can be said about Bob's efforts to tell the story of the Steamboat Arabia, but to people like Matt Hawley, Bob's grandson, there's another story the public doesn't know. One about his granddad's kindness, his loyalty and love for family and friends, and that even when ALS started to take hold, he cared how others were doing.
Even during these last couple of years, you know, he would have a smile on his face. He was just happy to be able to continue to experience life and be around his family. And his legacy is beyond what people will come and see here. But this is for sure a very shining testament to the hard work and the dedication of my grandfather.
I'm doing all I can do, honest to goodness, all I can do to keep this boat here in the state of Missouri. Whether it's in Kansas City, St. Joe, Independence, Jeff City, you know, I'll turn up every rock and see if there's any way to go there.
For close to 3 decades, the Arabia Steamboat Museum has served as an anchor tenant, a popular tourist attraction in KC City Market, but it looks like those days are coming to an end.
We're kind of not feeling love. Correct.
The museum's lease in the city-owned building is up in 2026. Hawley says the city plans to raise the rent and surround the museum with more bars and restaurants.
I would almost assure you that come November of 2026, the museum doors will close.
But Hawley's quick to point out he's not bitter.
But I'm excited too about the future. 150 gold coins.
Holly's already set his sights on another sunken steamboat in Missouri. In fact, there are 6 other steamboats Holly hopes to excavate and display in a new mega museum.
3 levels, 3 levels, each a different steamboat cargo.
A new bill in the Missouri legislature aims to create the Steamboat Legacy Fund. If passed, Holly hopes to create this National Steamboat Museum in Jefferson City.
This will be the Smithsonian of the Midwest.
And if there's not enough support or money to build that museum in Jeff City,
with persistence, we'll get it done.
Holly says he's also considering another new home for the Arabia.
There's an offer for us to move the museum to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, near where the boat was built. Heinz History Center would love it there.